Okay, so this is a quick disclaimer before we get on with the video. I just kind of wanted to mention this so that you could easily navigate my video. When you see this pop up on your screen, I've implemented this into my videos so that you as the user can fast forward when you see that on your screen. And then also, once you're done fast forwarding and it's not there anymore, then you've made it to the stuff that actually really matters. The way that I determine what is important and what is not is by either it being extras, tips that aren't dedicated to the textbook way of doing the repair, bloopers. It can be literally anything. It just, in order for it to be important, it'd have to be like the step-by-step textbook, we'll call it, way of doing the repair. Everything else is not important, and it's just there so that you can choose whether or not to watch it, or if you just need quick information to see it really quick because you're doing it right then and there, watching my video, it's for that. So that's all I wanted to mention. Thank you guys for watching the video and hope this helped. All right, so you guys have read the title. I got a 74 F350 behind me, and today we're doing an overhaul on the brakes. We're gonna do master cylinder, brake booster, all four wheels. And I'm gonna try to keep this video as detailed as I can be. And I'm gonna list all the parts you see behind me below and tools to get this job done. And I'm working with a Dana 70 rear axle. And this axle was used for a number of years. I can't give you the exact one and if they ever stopped. But I feel like the information in this video will help you at least complete that because of how exact and similar it is to any Dana 70 or Dana 60 rear axle. So we're gonna start off first with the master cylinder, and then we're gonna go from there, work our way back. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm gonna be honest, I got pretty disorganized and I already got the new one and kind of put it in. I thought I was gonna come back to it a lot earlier than I did. Fast forward a year later, here we are now, and well, master cylinder's kind of in there already. So it was only 2 bolts, one right here and then one on the opposite side parallel to it, and it was a 9/16 socket. And for the brake line nuts right here, you're gonna get this, right? This is a flare nut wrench. You want to use this at all times. Now the reason why you want to use the flare nut wrenches is because when you use these, the nuts are very soft for the brakes and on fuel lines, so you want to use those wrenches for fuel lines and brakes. And it'll just, if you use an open end like this, it'll just round it out. And it was a 5/8 with a 3/8. So I'll give it like a right, then left, you know? And then once I crack that loose, I switch over to a regular open wrench so that I'm not here all day. And I just try and take it off. Now, I didn't bench bleed this. I didn't do anything to it, to be honest with you. I kind of just set it up, propped it in there, and as you can see, it already started rusting out. And hopefully no rust got into the lines right here, but I'm pretty sure we should be all right. Oh my God, bro. Okay, so now I'm not gonna do it, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a long rod, and basically there's no fluid in here. That's why I don't wanna do it, and then, yeah. So what you do is you take a long rod and you basically hit the bore right here, is what's called, and you push it all the way in until it's maxed out, push all the way out. You want to do it not fast, you want to do it kind of slow. Now with parts being the way that they are, and you're trying to determine if it's dead or not because of whatever reason. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a vise, right, and the vise has this to protect the paint from chipping, because you know it's professional level paint. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the height on one side of the table so that it has a bit of a droop, because when you gotta remember that when it's in a car, it droops towards the firewall, basically making the front higher and the back lower. So you wanna, if you're having trouble brake bleeding it, it's what you're supposed to do in general, but you know, not everybody's gonna do that. Lift up this side, then come back, lift up this side, so that you can get all the air bubbles from each end out of the master cylinder. So that's something to take in consideration as well. And that helped me brake bleed it. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't get all of them out because it was a messed up master cylinder, so I had to go back and take that shit back anyways because literally came rusted. So that's another thing too. Like I literally popped the top off and everything inside was like moisture. There was moisture in it. Like another thing that I mentioned why I paint it is because when they come in the bare cast iron or whatever material that they're made, and when you throw them in, which I have a car or a truck literally that I just didn't do it, surface rust all on it, and it just looks ugly to tell you the truth. So if you're trying to sell it, which I'm trying to do, I'm trying to sell this thing, and then if you care also, you know, just go ahead and clean this up so that it doesn't, you know, get all rusty and stuff like that. Same thing for any other parts like those cast iron calipers that we just did. So but yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much else to it. There's other videos online that cover it in depth, but I'm just showing you quick tips real quick. You know, lift up the other side. Just keep doing it. Just slow. Best word to use is strokes. But yeah, just go in and out, slow. Nothing crazy. All the way in, all the way out. Okay, so I'm gonna make this pretty quick and dirty because it's getting kind of lengthy on the time of progress. But basically, master is in. You need this tool to adjust the rod length and to get it as perfect. I mean, I like to just really get shit dialed in and as perfect as possible just for practice, really. But basically, this goes on the booster like that, and then as you can see, right, look at that gap, dude. Woo! Barely. You want to make sure that this rod, for one, is all the way in, because when I was adjusting it, I accidentally pushed it out, or when you're messing with it, you know, when it's off, it can push out. So you want to make sure that that rod is all the way in before you make that adjustment. But, okay, back to the booster, sorry. All right, you want to make sure that this rod is on the right side, like on the correct side that's supposed to be on. See how it's on the left? Well, I put it on the right when I first installed it, and then once you have all the bolts in there, it's like, oh shit, this long rod just ain't, you know, you're not gonna finagle your way, so you gotta push that thing in. It's not very easy to push that rod in to get it to go on the other side, to go around this brake pedal and shit like that. It's just, you know, so just a heads up for that, and then also a heads up for the rod as well. So two things to look out for. Putting it in the brackets, if you really need a tip for that, don't take off the brackets because the brackets are a pain in the ass. What I did, actually, is there's this cool little boot right here. Oh my God. There's this cool little like boot that's stock. I don't know, that shit looks factory to me. But it had this one, and the one that I threw on there with all that silicone and shit that you saw, it has, it covers the full thing, and it's perfectly designed for that. So I felt like I should keep that, and all I did was just clean off the old RTV that was on it, because this doesn't reach all the way back. So basically what that's doing is if any water gets on that firewall or kicks up or whatever, right, it won't get into the cab. So I just kept that one, cleaned it up, and made it look nice, because the plastic was still good and not dry rotted, to be honest with you. So threw silicone onto that, no biggie. All right, but that's pretty much it for that. And then just hook up your hose to your vacuum, of course, and call it a day. All right, so 3 hours later of like losing things, repainting things, and well, now we're here. We're gonna do the brakes, and we're gonna jack up the front and the back right now. And as you can see, I kind of got a weird situation going on, but we're gonna jack up the front. I got planks going because the dirt kind of just sinks into the dirt. Jack it up straight from the center, from where the I-beams are at. Done this many times, ain't no issue. Falls on me.
That didn't sound good at all. And we're back. Oh my fucking... Is that shit bending? This is sketchy shit in my life. Dude.
I mean, shit, might as well keep filming.
This is AJ's process of...
almost dies.
This is what not to do.
Still grading. That right there. Without getting...
So we use super safe tactics.
Yeah, no, super safe.
Super safe, yeah.
Approved.
You know what I mean? Look at that. Pretty safe.
Yeah.
We weren't underneath the car at all, trying to figure this shit out.
We weren't in the arms of death.
That block wasn't the only thing holding everything up for dear life for a minute.
Hanging by a thread.
There's a big ass crack in the.
Give it a good rock, you know? Give it a good rock, and she ain't going anywhere, obviously. Now we're gonna make our way to the back and bring our split in half wheel with us. Dude, I fucking hate dirt. Dirt is a kidney stone. Like literal fucking kidney stone. All right, so we got the jack stands set up. This is my little setup that I got going on. Probably think that's hella sketchy, and to be honest with you, it kind of is. But we're just gonna act like we're. Well, I mean, I rocked it, to be honest with you, and we're good. So now we're gonna move on to taking all the tires off. These are reverse threads. I am almost 1000% positive, because when I was doing it, I was tightening it, and then I had somebody else do it, and they kind of like put them on backwards, the nuts. But we're gonna pray that those aren't stripped, even though I know they are. But it's going in, bro. I'm not kidding. So I gotta tighten it to loosen it. So that's a fucking trip. So I'm gonna start with the biggest pain in the ass, and is the drums. So to take those off after you get, you know, the wheels off. If you don't have, you know, this, do it with the wheels on and the wheels on the floor. Crack them loose first, then try and do it. But I'm just gonna take them all off right now. All right, so if you got concrete, you're gonna wanna, yep. So you're gonna wanna be prepared because it's gonna come out. I'm cool with it, it's on dirt. So you're gonna take this out, and then you wanna make sure that you don't mess these up because you might be able to reuse it if it's not like torn. I'm gonna try and reuse mine. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this is gonna determine whether or not we finish today and get everything disassembled, or we're gonna spend an hour beating the hell out of this thing. So it's definitely not coming off with my hands. Let's see if we can give it a few swings, I guess. So it took us way too long than I want to admit, because we're a bunch of rookies. But I totally forgot that you gotta take the bearing out.
Dude.
Fuck, bro. Oh, I fucking hate dirt.
Let's fucking go.
The spring definitely broke. Yo, look at that, See all that? And look. Something bursted in here. Spring broke. Look at that. So now I'm about to figure out which fucking spring broke. Alright, so bear with me. I'm gonna be kind of going through this a little bit faster than I was doing it before. I'm gonna run you through real quick when you need to resurface and what to ask the dude who's resurfacing them. So if this is kind of like wobbling, or when you're going to resurface it, ask him if it wobbles. And then on top of that, to know if you need a resurface, you're gonna come into here and you're gonna feel for a ridge. So you wanna feel a deep enough ridge that you can catch on your fingernail. And that will determine whether or not you need to get, and it's caused by so many things I'm not gonna list right now, but that basically just kind of will tell you like, all right, this needs to be resurfaced. All right, so I wanted to go over real quick what it looks like inside, so you can get an idea of how to take the nuts off and what it's gonna be kind of like about. So to start off, excuse the lithium grease. We had a nasty rain literally today because it's a new day, and I just put lithium grease so it wouldn't rust, but you know, you don't need that. So this is your set nut, right? To basically, as you have the drum in, you're gonna have your bearing, then it's the nut. This goes on, right? And then you put this on right here, And this is just, think of like a nut with a lock washer with another nut, like, you know, tightening it. Just basically so that it doesn't kind of like back out. So as this goes in, right, you want to take your hammer and hit these towards this nut. Like hit a couple, you don't need the whole thing. You can do like top, bottom, side, side. And then you want to push them, you know, towards it. And then there's probably better videos that'll explain it, since I can't really explain it to you right here. And then this one, I don't know if you can see, but there's some pushed that way, outwards, and then some pushed inwards. So that's basically just to hold this nut in case this nut backs off too. And it's just kind of like just a locking mechanism, you know? That's how you put it on. Here's your bearing right there. And that's basically it. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. All right, so these are the tools I'm going to use to take off the shoe assembly. And then all it is a flare nut wrench for the brake line, 3/8, another 3/8 open end so that I can just, you know, get it off faster. And then I got a 7/16 sockets, and that is for the e-brake lever to take that off. And then we got a vice grip, 2 vice grips just to show you which ones you can use. Doesn't matter. I kind of like this one better. And then pry bar so that we can get the spindle that's riveted kind of on there off. And then if you need a flathead, I got a flathead. So, oh, and then also can't forget, you're gonna need a half for the wheel cylinder bolts right here. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm gonna use. So let's get to it. So I'm gonna start off by taking off the e-brake. You just pull this spring back and then just pull it forward, and it just comes right off. Depending on if your spring is brittle like mine or if it's, you know, full strength and nice, it will determine how hard that will be to take off. And then after you get that out of the way, the reason why you take that out of the way is because you need to get to this little thing, and you can kind of push it, or this spring right here, and you need to push it inwards. Now you want to tighten these a little bit and feel it out. You should be able to kind of lock it in there, you know. You want to get a good, you want to squeeze it. You want to, you know, it shouldn't be too loose when you squeeze it. You want it to be firm when you squeeze it, and like have to actually put some back into it, because if not, it'll just slip off when you try to push it inwards. And if you have a good vice grip, this thing has a lot of clamping force, so it shouldn't be an issue. God damn, shit's on there tight as hell. So I'm doing this side now just to kind of show you, so you can get an idea or a better look at it. So I just push it. God damn. Push it, then I push the hook. See what I'm saying? So you gotta like go upwards like that, push it towards the back, and then you lift up the lever, and then vice versa. Do the same thing on the other side. And then once you do that, you come over to the e-brake cable right here, and you just lift up on the adjustment lever. Well, this is gonna want to come off right here, but I'll show you right real quick. So push up on this lever. It'll unhook the little adjuster, and we're already starting to unravel here, but just bear with me. Let's see. So we'll take this off on the bottom, the adjuster wheel itself, and then this is just all going to want to fall apart at this point. And it just comes off super easy. And then what I like to do is I like to keep them kind of in the same order of how they went, you know, try and line them up. This one here, here, down. Try and keep it like on the floor and how it was actually created, so that it's easier for me to kind of get an idea in case I gotta look back to it. Now we'll move on to the wheel cylinder, and then we'll move on to the brake lever. Now this one's gonna be kind of tough, and hopefully I can catch it on camera, but directly to take off the lever, directly parallel behind this little circle right here is a nut. You gotta kind of feel for it, because you're not gonna be able to really stick your head in. Like, you'll kind of see it, but you can't really see it. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take this, Go over to here. There's a top bolt right there.
Yeah, you can see it.
See how that rust? It's just not even going on because of how much fucking rust is on it. So like in this case, you gotta carve it just a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna get this in here and get this shit off first because this shit's just always in the way. Damn, just take out the whole fender. See what I'm saying? So you just hit it with the pry bar, comes out. See these rivets right here? So as you tighten this bolt, you know, it rivets itself inside here so that, you know, you can't just pull it off. And then that shit doesn't want to ever come off. It's like seized to both sides, just like that. Just pry it off. There you go. And then, hold on, this is like the most important part. Your fucking wheel cylinders that they provide, never, I mean, on a rare occasion actually, they will have new nuts. So you're gonna have to reuse those. So do not lose them, put them in. Majority of the time, like 80% of the time, you don't get nuts. Except these nuts. Okay, so now to go over cleaning it, I just use a bottle of, hey, what the fuck is this called?
Alcohol.
Oh, I use a bottle of rubbing alcohol. And yeah, brake cleaner is bad to ingest, and I'm tired of ingesting that shit. So I just use rubbing alcohol. I swear to God, I'm probably not gonna live till like 40. And I just give it a spray. Coming with this. You're supposed to have a mask on. Probably another reason why I'm not gonna make it to 40. But, you know. So if you come in real quick, I'll give you an actual, you know, representation. We got contact points, they have rivets in them, and I cleaned it off for you so you can see. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them total. You, most importantly, want to clean this. The rest doesn't really matter. I just go over it like lightly, give it a clean here, because you see all this build-up sludge right here? That's all brake dust and just dirt or like whatever dust. Yeah, try to clean here so that it doesn't, you know, weld to the damn metal again. And then I try to clean here so that, you know, it doesn't weld on here for the brake lever. So other than that, go over it lightly. Make sure that these are silver, and I'm gonna show you what they should look like once we're done. And then that's it. That's all I use, just this. And then I use a more aggressive bit, which is, of course we don't have it here. I literally put it right here. So I use a more, Jesus Christ. So I use a more aggressive one, which is this one. And then that will like really like eat all of the rust and just swallow it. Okay, no, we'll redo that when we're done. Dude, there's some shit in my eye, I'm gonna cry. Okay, ready? So I'll lightly go over it with this one, and then I'll use a more aggressive bit like this one to get into the actual contact points, just because sometimes this just doesn't work. So, but yeah, that's basically it. So we will come back to when it is finally finished. Okay, so this is exactly how it should look. All of the contact points are completely silver. They don't have little rust patches like this, and they're not dirty like this. So exactly how it should look. Now once I get the parts in, we will go over how to put this all back together and set the bearing nut and how to go through all that as well. All right, so we're working on the front brakes right now, and so I can try and get them resurfaced or at least dropped off by tonight. And took off the cotter pin, took off the castle nut. Cotter pins are super easy. They're gonna be bent. You just straighten them out, pull them straight out, or cut them right here at the circle, cut them, and just don't even mess with it. Just pull it out just like that. Cut it first. So now for the people who are actually experienced with preloads, it's kind of a good habit to check their preload from when they did it, so you can get an idea. Okay, if it's super loose, there might have been some wear with the, you know, uneven wear on the bearings, and kind of just gives you an overall rough estimate. So what I do is I start with tightening it first, because you'll tell, like, you know, if it's too tight or if it's super loose. So I start with tightening it first, and then see how much of a, like, till it hits the point where you know the preload is supposed to be set at. Then I kind of just, you know, back it off, kind of get an idea of like where it was at before, and that'll kind of give you like, you know, it's kind of good practice to see, kind of like check to see how they did it and how somebody was working on it. So taking off this right here. So I'm gonna take off the brake line right now, and that is a 9/16 bolt. The rotor will come off once you get, oh my God.
Show it to the camera.
Oh shit. There you go. All right, so now we're just gonna do the same shit that we just did here on the opposite side. All right, so that wraps up the first video of the brake overhaul series on the 74 F350. Like I said, everything will be listed down below, including everything from parts and tools. I just kind of wanted to mention that this was a 2-year, and I hate to say it, but yeah, 2-year like video progress that I've been doing, kind of like I got it the first year, then the second year I kind of like went to work on it and disassembled everything. Now we're at the second year and I'm putting everything back on, so it's a little sloppy, and I'll admit it. And you know, I appreciate you guys bearing with me, and it wasn't that detailed with the master cylinder and the brake booster. That's just because I feel like everybody has videos on that, and I feel like I just want to mention the year specific stuff that really mattered. Otherwise, you could just look up a video for brake booster and master cylinder, and if not, I'll make one that's a little bit more detailed, dedicated to just that. But I'm kind of on a time constraint. I mean, you see how long it's taking me to do this. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything, and that's all I wanted to mention. So I appreciate the support, and I will see you guys in part 2.